Today's video is sponsored by Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. These are random things about Japan that you may or may not already know about. Everyone in Japan is cremated, used panties. Their epidurals are not the same as epidurals in the United States, so canned bread. I thought I was always getting pulled over. Their testicles are freaking massive. It's a wild world, you guys. I love a fun fact. I'm a fun fact queen. I'm basically like a toddler. So if you tell me a fun fact about something, I will regurgitate it until it makes me sick, which is probably why I'm adding tour guide to my repertoire. My list, I have 39 things on here. I'm not gonna go through all 39 of these. I will just let you guys tell me if you want a part 2. If you are looking for a tour guide person in Japan, check the link in the description because I'm guiding tours this October and I still have spots available. I digress. I figure if you're clicking on this video, you might be coming to Japan soon, or maybe you lived here for a while and you're looking for explanations to things you're seeing or experiencing, or you just want fun facts to tell your friends and family. Let's do some spitfire. Japan only opened its borders to international trade and travel in 1853. July 8th, 1853 to be specific. American Commodore Matthew C. Perry showed up with 4 of his ships knocking on Japan's door and was like, hey, we have stuff that you need and you have stuff that we would like. And if we get to business partners, we can both make a lot of money off of each other. Like, what do you think? And Japan was like, this was during the Tokugawa era. And they were like,
I don't know, sir, but your boat looks kind of nice and we don't have some of that stuff, so maybe we should talk.
And they did talk. And then after 200 years of having closed borders, Japan opened itself to international trade, which boosted their economy and just opened themselves up to the rest of the world. Now you're probably like,
why is this a fun fact?
During the 200 years when Japan was completely isolated to itself, explains why Japan's culture is so unique compared to so many other countries, because they really cultivated and nourished themselves without any outside opinions or influences. This literally explains so much of their art and history, their homogeneous culture, cohesive thinking. This is their biggest strength and their biggest weakness, and you might see some of this play out later. But this also kind of explains, like, when you come to Japan, so many parts of Japan seem so modern, but then so many parts of Japan just kind of feel like you're stuck in time. So there's kind of like a gap in infrastructure, industrial design, and also some of the some of the trends that you'll kind of hear me speaking about. This might be a trigger warning. I don't know if anyone is sensitive to death, but everyone in Japan is cremated. I thought that was such a crazy fun fact because I'm from the United States, where it just varies differently based on, we're a melting pot of culture, right? So it just like depends like what your beliefs are. If you want to be cremated and then buried, embalmed, then buried in a casket, or if you get cremated and your ashes are spread somewhere, like that's not how it is here. So as of 2012, from what I was researching, in 2012, 99.99% of Japanese people were cremated. Within 24 hours of passing, in Japanese law, you have to either embalm or cremate them within 24 hours. That's law. I find this entire topic very interesting. I kind of empathize with it because I lost my dad in 2014 and we cremated him, and then he is buried at Arlington Cemetery. And so that was just like our own process. So learning about it through the lens of another culture is just, I think it's really cool. Noren curtains. You'll see these outside of restaurants. They're like these flowy curtains. That's basically like the equivalent of an open sign. So in the States, we have those signs that you like turn off and on that glow like open or closed. A lot of people don't realize that that's like how traditionally they let people know that their business was open, with like the little noren curtains outside doors. So yeah, if you don't see a sign that says if it's open or closed or not, but you see the noren, the curtains, that means they're open, so you should go inside. If you are staying in a ryokan, which is a traditional Japanese hotel, you are typically giving something called a yukata, which is a casual cotton like robe. That's the only thing I know how to compare it to. But always put right underneath and left on top, because if you do left underneath and right on top, that's how they dress people to be buried. So just a fun fact. If you see it left If you see it right over left, that's wrong. Konbini culture. You guys know I love a good konbini. I used to do konbini hauls on here all the time, and I haven't done that in a really long time. So if you guys want me to bring those back, please let me know. Those are so much fun to film. I digress. So many people come to Japan and they're like,
I would never eat at 7-Eleven. I would never eat at Lawson's. I would never eat at XYZ, these fast food type places.
But in Japan, it is kind of like the beating heart of society, which I know sounds so crazy, but when people are just always on the go, they are looking for convenience, and a konbini is a convenience store. So the whole idea is that you can pay your bills there, you can pay your rent, you can pay your utility bills, you can order cakes from bakeries there, you can order hot food and hot meals to be delivered to your house or for pickup. You can like use the machines there to fax and print, and you can also buy tickets to things like concerts or gardens and things like that. The food is delivered fresh a few times a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And the food is also sourced from local cafes and restaurants, sometimes not always. For example, when you order a cake, yes, that did just come out of my mouth. When you order a cake from the 7-Eleven here, it actually comes from a bakery. And I also know that information because one of my followers who works at the bakery Chateau, which is a chain here, they make all the cakes for 7-Eleven. So if you go in there and you want cakes and pastries and cookies and all that stuff, Chateau is the one that makes it. So that's a lot on konbini culture. Please embrace it when you come visit. People always ask me what sakura or cherry blossom stuff tastes like because you'll see a lot of it if you're in Japan right now with cherry blossom season. And it kind of sounds obvious, but it's not to a lot of people. It's usually like creamy cherry or like cherry milk flavored things. So it's not for everybody, but if it's done right, it's really delicious. Since we're talking about snacks, this is the perfect time to introduce today's sponsor, which is Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. These are Japanese snack box subscription services that allow you to experience Japan from the comfort of your own home. Tokyo Treat is a monthly pop Japanese snack box where you will receive up to 20 exclusive limited edition and seasonal flavored Japanese snacks, including Japanese instant ramen and drinks that are only available in Japan for a limited time. The Tokyo Treat theme is Sakura Matsuri Snack Fest, which is all about celebrating nighttime Sakura Hanami. You'll get a booklet packed with fun facts about Japan, which we know we love. Little fun fact is that Japan is famous for their Kit Kats. I think there's over 500 or 600 different flavors that you can find in Japan. Is the strawberry one, and strawberries are in season right now. Oh, their strawberry stuff is out of this world. Sakura Co. is a monthly Japanese artisanal snack box that supports local Japanese snack makers, and each box comes with 20 traditional, authentic, and artisanal Japanese snacks, including Japanese teas and a special Japanese tableware item. This month's theme is a night of sakura. You're getting sakura cream cookies, sakura castella, sakura mochi, sakura cashew nuts, and so much more. Cashew nuts are calling my name. This one just really tastes like a cookie, and it's got like a nice crunchy outside with that nutty filling. I already made my blueberry hibiscus tea inside the sakura glass that this month came with. Ooh, that is so refreshing with the cashew nuts. Make sure you use my code ATLAS to experience Japan from the comfort of your own home. There's more information in the links in my description. In Japan, if you're going to have a baby as a female, their epidurals are not the same as epidurals in the United States. So epidurals in the United States, the idea is to numb you from like the nipples or the shoulders down. So you basically can't feel anything. But in Japan, I will cry. We call them walking epidurals, which means you can receive an epidural, but it basically just takes the edge off. The epidural, you can still walk with it. And the other thing that is so crazy to me is that women will go on a wait list to get an epidural here. And if you're lucky enough to get one, you also have to be lucky enough to go into labor and need one during regular business working hours. So you should only be able to get an epidural between 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and I wish I was making that up, and I'm not. So if you plan on having birth in Japan, just know that going into it ahead of time. Another fun fact about Japan is that just because you're born here, you're not granted residency. If one of your parents is Japanese, then the child is given basically like dual citizenship. But when they turn 18, they have to pick a passport because once you're 18 and you're an adult, you do not get to choose dual citizenship. Like Japan is like, no, you have to pick one. A lot of people think that they can just like come to Japan, have their kid here, and then their kid can have Japanese citizenship. My son was born here. My husband and I were both American. They said, no, you can go to the embassy and get your own passport. And we said, okay. In the United States, if you were born in the United States, you are granted citizenship, but not in Japan. Gender roles are still really prominent in Japan. So whether it is in politics, in society, or even in the privacy of their own homes, gender roles are still very prominent. You don't see as many women in political or even like higher up managerial positions in the workplace. A lot of people don't realize that Japan is about the same size as California. I remember when I heard this for the first time, I thought that was really big. I thought Japan was a lot smaller than that, but that's really not true. A lot of people think that they can see Japan in like a really short period of time, but that's really far from the truth. 80% of Japan is covered in mountain ranges. I think that is such a fascinating fact on the geography of Japan because that explains why the cities are so big here. So it's the reality. Like, you can only let people live in 20% of Japan. The population of Japan may not be as comparable to other geographic areas with people around the world, but when you take into consideration that like you're kind of limited on where these people can live, that explains why the cities here are so city and the countryside is so countryside. Because of all the mountains, that explains why it takes so long to get anywhere when you're driving. So when I first moved here, we lived in the countryside and I would Google map something like 15 miles away. And it would be like an hour to drive there. And I was like, why?
What world were we living in?
And it's because you're driving 15 miles, but you're like weaving in and around mountains, or you're driving in and out along a coastline. So it takes forever. With that being said, you typically have to take toll roads here, and toll roads are really expensive, although they are very well maintained. They're very nice. But yeah, you like couldn't get around Japan without toll roads because they have to build tunnels through mountains. So that's why there's so many tunnels here. Imagine that. Cop cars in Japan drive around with their lights on. And I know that sounds so random, but in the States, that's not how they drive around. So I thought I was always getting pulled over all the time. But no, in fact, they just drive around with their lights on, and you're only getting pulled over if they like start yelling at you over like the little speaker, or if they start running their sirens. Another way that they will pull you over is just by tapping on you. I have been pulled over like that. One time I took a right turn, an illegal right turn. And when I turned, a police officer on foot who is elderly just came to my window and tapped on my window. I thought I was running into a construction zone. Indeed, I was not. I was getting a ticket. But yeah, he just knocked on my window politely and he was just like,
illegal right turn. Can you please drive down 2 blocks that way to pull into the 7-Eleven so I can write you a ticket?
Excuse me?
yes, that is a real story. What am I going to do? I'm a law-abiding citizen, so of course I just drive down to the 7-Eleven and I wait for him there, and he's just walking up to my car. And I feel like this story sounds unbelievable, but it's so true. Just came up to my car, took my stuff. It didn't take too long. I think it was like a $50 fine. But I remember calling my husband. I was like,
You will not believe how I just got pulled over today.
sometimes they have like a little stick and they stand at a corner and they'll like just point at a car at an intersection. Like if they catch you texting and driving or something like that. It's very casual and not scary. And it's just interesting. They're always so nice. It's so funny. I love Tanuki. They are an amazing folkloric character. And if you see them, it'll typically be outside of like businesses, homes, restaurants, and things like that. And they are to bring in good luck. They are a real animal, but they're also a folklore character. So in real life, a Tanuki is a raccoon dog. You will notice on the statues that they have like huge testicles. And I love telling people that. Their testicles are freaking massive. And the size of the testicle correlates to luck and how much, so the bigger the testicle, the more luck you're hoping for. But a lot of people don't realize that when they're in Japan because they're like, oh, that's such a cute animal. And they just assume those are feet. But those are not feet. They are giant testicles. And there's even a really funny TV show where they use their testicles as parachutes. And yeah, it's just like fun, weird stuff about Japan that I just love. So whenever you see a Tanuki, please tag me in your Instagram stories because I love it. You'll see it in a range of different characters and colors, and they'll just be sitting outside of restaurants and businesses with huge testicles. Did you know that Japan has the highest number of vending machines per capita in the world? There's approximately 1 vending machine for every 23 people. I used to plan my runs in the last place that we lived around vending machines. So I never carried water with me. I would just make sure I could stop by a vending machine and like grab a water, chug it, throw it away and go. Vending machines here also serve hot soups, coffees, teas, hot water, corn soup. I think I said that already, in the wintertime. So they'll switch the vending machines to hot. So it's really freaking cool. But yeah, there's a lot of vending machines and people sometimes wonder like, who owns these vending machines? They can be privately owned. So like I can just like run a vending machine. They also have vending machines for all kinds of stuff here. So you can get like canned bread, used panties, cameras, all kinds of stuff. It's wild. It's a wild world, you guys. So in the United States, when we say come here, we like usually go like this, like, oh, come here, come here. In Japan, it's like this. Like, I'm still working on it, but this is like kite, kite, kite. I remember seeing someone do that to me for the very first time, and I thought they were shooing me away, but that's just a cultural difference. It's like this. I'm not that great at it, but yeah, if you see anybody doing that for you, they're telling you to come here, not go away. Many people come to Japan because of the beautiful cherry blossom season, but a lot of people don't really know the deep meaning behind sakura and cherry blossoms. They typically represent the fleeting of time. And that's why everybody's kind of like on a race to see cherry blossoms and experience cherry blossoms, because they can bloom anywhere from like 2 days to like 10 to 14 days. But if it rains one day, if it's super windy one day, if it goes from hot to super cold one day, they're done. They are such delicate flowers that the slightest change in the weather or environment, they just like die and go away. So if you guys watch any anime or Japanese movies or dramas or anything like that, you may notice that in some scenes it'll be like falling cherry blossoms, and that is visual, what's the word I'm looking for? Artistic, whatever, to show that like the time is changing or something is ending. And that's the same for cherry blossoms. So that's why it's so meaningful, because it's really about the fleeting of time and how you really don't know how much time you have to experience things. Let me know if you guys want a part 2 video, because I have like 20 more of these, if not more, to keep sharing. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, like this video. Let me know what you thought the most interesting fun fact was. If you guys are interested in joining my group tours this October, I will link those below, where you will get fun fact Caitlin tapped into her cheerleader mom energy in person, and I will probably be nuts with all the fun facts I'm gonna feed you. So anyway, love you guys so much. I will see you in the next video. Bye.